Well, in the last 20 years, he's as good as any coach we've had. 24 years as a head coach. He got the Eagles to Super Bowl and NFC championships on a consistent basis. He's now reached the Super Bowl in 3 of his last 4 years, 10 years in Kansas City, 9 playoff appearances. So I look at you and I think, success is one thing. Sustained success is really, really hard. The Warriors are doing it. Bill did it. You're doing it. And a lot of that stuff is, Steph Curry, Brady, Mahomes. I mean, that obviously helps. If you were to go back to rookie Andy Reid, your first year coaching, head coach, and today's Andy Reid, I would argue, what I remember, you take more risks now than you did when you were a young kid, which is not the way it works for most humans. Am I wrong on that? You feel edgier to me today than you were when you were young.
Yeah, I'm probably edgier with the football part, but not as edgy with the players. I was grumpy back then, and I smile now more.
Well, Patrick can do that for you. I would say, though, You have learned. I mean, why is that? Explain why you think that is.
Well, that I don't know. It's a good question. We did a lot of stuff at Philly that was a little bit out of the box. I know when I first got in, we were throwing the ball more than anybody, and I got asked the question a lot, why don't you run the ball more? And but that seemed edgy back then. But the trick plays now are more, probably a little bit more edgy, especially inside that 5-yard line.
Yeah.
Some of the things we do get perceived as high risk.
Yeah. Where did I said it? We didn't wait to call Michael Jordan the best ever, even though Bill Russell had almost twice the titles. And I said, I've never ranked guys on Super Bowls. That's part of it. But there's things Patrick does that Joe and Tom and Peyton just can't do. The thing that always, and maybe I'm totally wrong on this, but it was that throw to the end zone, at the front of the end zone. Patrick's ability to see something and then the ball's out of his hand feels so much quicker than even other guys I like. Is he getting better at it? Am I right? Did you notice it? I don't know what you call it, but it's that cognitive ability to see it, get it out. I don't think I've ever seen anybody like it. Talk about that process.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit like comparing fighter pilots. Some guys see a little bit better than others. They all see well, but some see better than others. And Patrick's able to, you teach young kids, you keep your eyes down the field as you move. Well, when Patrick moves, he naturally does that. And then he has accuracy and strength, velocity on the ball at the same time. And so that makes him a little bit different than a lot of quarterbacks. You hear the great ones saying that he's a great one, and that's quite a compliment to him. And now you add this whole thing in with the ankle and the stuff that he's pushing through mentally is special.
Pain tolerance is a skill. Did the ankle change in any way, Andy, any of your sets, your game plan, your ideology for the game at all?
No, not much. We kept everything basically the same. I would tell you we probably didn't move him around quite as much as we normally do, but he moved around like he normally does. So I thought he was able to push off of it and keep himself in a safe position. That was all just the mental toughness part of this. I mean, he willed himself, Colin, from day one after the game that he was going to play, and he wanted you to keep everything in the game plan. And so I will handle it like right now was his mentality, and he did that.
By the way, on the sideline during the game, he was barking at you. He's like, he didn't want to take his cleats off, because you take your cleats off, it's over, right? The day's over. And take me to that moment. You're calling a game, the national TV cameras. He's hurt. You care about him, the person. He's barking at you. I mean, what was going on there?
Well, I've got 51% of that vote, and so. So the barking, it was like your kids. You got kids, I've got kids, and this guy, he was mindset the that I'm going back in and I'm fine and I don't need an X-ray and all this. And I said, well, yeah, you're going to go back in, but you're going to get an X-ray first. And he didn't like that, but he did it. And what was coincidental was, and I didn't see this till later, but he ran up the ramp to get the X-ray. I mean, that's how mad he was and how much adrenaline he had going through him. And I go, this kid is crazy that way, but a good crazy.
You know, his parents, Burrow's parents, Jalen Hurts' parents, I don't know where it comes from, but they're all foxhole guys. And I always said I want my quarterback to be a foxhole guy. And I like them to have a little jet fuel. They've been overlooked by somebody, told no by somebody, fallen in the draft. Most of the great quarterbacks have that. Did he have all these innate abilities day one? I mean, it feels like to me he's just getting smarter. He's made better decisions. Or is this stuff, you've seen it every day, or do you feel like he's getting better?
Well, I taught him everything, Colin. I mean, come on.
There you go.
No, listen, he was spectacular at Texas Tech. He could move around. He did all the same stuff. He moved around, threw the ball, threw it hard, accurate. It was just a matter of getting him a few snaps under center and used to the defenses in the National Football League. And the thing that doesn't get said about Patrick is how smart he is. He picks things up so quick. He was following one of the smartest quarterbacks I've ever coached, in Alex Smith, and we didn't have to take a big step back. I mean, he just picked it up and we kept on going. And it's a real tribute to him. And then Alex teaching him how to study and do all those things that players can teach players.
So Sean McVay admitted his first Super Bowl, he over-prepared. And go back to your first Super Bowl and go to the one now. Is there a little bit of a danger, especially a creative offensive guy? Is there a little bit of a danger, Andy? You just have one extra play and one extra lateral and one. I mean, you tell me what you go through with that extra time, because you're great off buys. That's your record. So you obviously know how to use the time. But now there's a long stretch and it's a big game.
Yeah. So what we try to do, Colin, is get everything in this week before you go to the site, which is Arizona. So we try to get the game plan put together. That way you keep all the coaches kind of in that box that you're talking about, and that you don't get too crazy. And once you get down to Phoenix, it's going to be a bit chaotic with just the different events that go on. So you get it in now, you practice it, and then you kind of freshen it up once you get to the site there.
Well, you were only unemployed for about 15 minutes, if I recall. But when Philadelphia lets you go, you have every right to be angry. You have every right to hold a grudge. You never have. Is it different? How different is it to face your former team in a Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, listen, it's unique. I mean, I thought of all the teams in the league. I mean, here we are, Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I still have a great relationship with Jeff Lurie, Howie Roseman, all the people there. Big Dom, the security guy. I mean, three of the players were kids that we drafted when we were there, and so I have fond memories of Philadelphia. I loved all 14 years that I was there, and but when you really cut to the chase on this thing, Colin, you get to a point where you just go, listen, it's us, our team, our players and coaches versus their team and coaches. And it doesn't matter the uniform necessarily. You're battling in there against these guys. You want to give your players, as a coach, you want to give your players the best opportunity that you can for them to succeed. So you focus in on the game plan. And that's what you do.
Yeah.
And then you put all the other stuff, all the emotional stuff, you kind of put over on the side, and you love them up after the game.
You know, you guys played with so much emotion and yet so smart. And then I watched Travis Kelce after, just a riot. He was all ticked off on that Burrowhead stuff and that mirror stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you always pretend like it doesn't matter. I heard your players. They didn't like that at all. Did you address it during the week at all?
Well, I didn't. It was kind of self-addressed. I just asked them to stay off of countering it. Let's not get into that. Um, they were talking, and that's okay. I mean, listen, that's their style, but that's not our style. We're kind of play you. Let's go play in the CVS parking lot, McDonald's parking lot, wherever you want to go. Let's go, man. And take off the tuxedo, put on the blue jeans, and let's roll. And that's kind of how we go. And so that's the guys did that. And then Kels being from Cincinnati, he got it off his chest. I mean, he put it out there. He's part of the group. So. But the guys, I thought, did a good job of just going out and playing good, hard football.
By the way, I thought Spags had his best defensive game plan. I think that's the most under-discussed part of this. Cincinnati didn't have long drives. They had an 8-play drive in the second half, and that was about it. I thought it was it. Did you know it was going to be that successful?
Well, the players, Colin, were talking about it early in the week on how much they liked it, and they couldn't wait to execute it, and that's always a good sign. And so Spags and his staff did a great job with that. And I thought that all the defensive guys just played their hearts out. Chris Jones was unbelievable, unbelievable. And so it's a tribute to all of them pulling together and all those young kids and making it happen. It was a beautiful thing there.
Andy Reid, an all-timer. He's so kind to come on our show. He's a busy guy. He takes out here a little time on a Tuesday, and we appreciate it. You know what? Lunch is on me today. Why don't you put it on my tab and send it to me? We'll take care. How's that? That'd just be
good. Well, if I could get a Tommy burger right now, if you can FedEx me one, that would be great.
Andy, it's great seeing you.
All right, Colin. Thank you.
All right, Andy Reid. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.